Quite often the question comes up, do we record these events? And we do. We record them, and we're recording this one as well. So if you want to follow up and actually listen to this later, or if you've registered and aren't able to sit on the whole webinar, you'll be able to get it from us at any time. So with that, I want to mention our new producer bonus we have here at Insurance Agency Marketing Services. A new producer bonus that's designed for folks that have just joined us, been with us for a relatively short time. So during your first 180 days or 6 months of being contracted with us, you can qualify at various levels to take advantage of the new producer bonus. We've tried to build them around things that can help grow your business, and kind of that allows us, at least in our minds, to multiply the amount that we can to pay out on that. So it really becomes a bit of a lost leader for us, but we think eventually as you take advantage of some of the things that we do on a new producer bonus basis, you can grow your business even further. So hopefully you'll take advantage of that. For those of you that haven't already done business with us, if you have any questions on that, certainly give me a call and I'll be glad to walk you through it. Also, we've all heard about the DOL and no more conventions, but we are going to promote a producers meeting in 2018, early 2018, down at the Boulders Resort, which was voted the #1 resort in Arizona by Travel and Leisure magazine. Very nice spot, great golf courses, 2 of them on property, great spa, one of the best that I've ever been to. And I'm not a big spa guy, but I know a good one when I see it. So we'd love to have you all join us out at the Boulders. As of today, it's a qualification. You can see down below there what the qualifications are. $2 million on the annuity side. There's conversions for just about everything. Every business, or actually every piece of business you do with IAMS, has some qualification towards our top producers escape. We'd love to see it down there. Qualification still runs through the end of this year, and again, the event will be at the Boulders, February 25th through the 28th of 2018. Creative services, I wanted y'all to look at these, and if you will, just take a second and kind of look at some of the things that we can do from a more global perspective. What I want you to be thinking about is, what areas do I need to put a little bit more attention on to grow my business? And I think what a lot of folks will do is that they will underestimate what marketing can do for your business. And it isn't something that happens immediately, but over time, whether it's just for you having a little bit of a web presence or doing some things on your social media, all these things can affect your business. And you all know what you spend to get good qualified leads to come. And the key here is that I say to guys is, look at spending $200 to $300 to $400 a month on this marketing side of your business, whether it's doing some things with your Facebook profile, doing some things with some Facebook marketing. We've had some good luck with that, whether it's trying to get on the radio, whether it's maybe, we have a firm that we work with that will do a lot of that for you and do some blogging for you and help you with all that. These things all will make an impact. And in our business, as you all know, meeting a couple, 3 extra customers every year can easily pay for that marketing. And then what happens is it kind of just grows your business overall and hopefully eliminates that every day, waking up and saying, who am I going to talk to today? So that's what it's all about. Why do you want to do it with someone like IAMS, your FMO? Is because we all know how this works. We all have the systems that work within your industry. So could you go out and hire a firm, a PR firm, advertising firm of some kind to do some of that stuff for you? Absolutely you could, but you're going to pay a lot more, and you're going to get something that is a lot more generic, not really specifically built around our business and built with the success that we've seen from other guys in mind. So use your marketing reimbursement. We'll talk about that shortly to help grow some of that stuff in your business. And a lot of the stuff we do just for absolutely free, just to help our guys out. We've got some great pieces on our website that we can get personalized for you and do a lot of things for you. So let us help you grow your business. That's all I want to say there. Marketing, our IAMS Life and Annuity Academy. I'm going to put a poll up here just so we can get through it here fairly quickly. So take a quick look at what we do at the training there, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it here in just a second, give you a second to look at that, and I'm going to shoot the poll up for you. Okay. So if you have interest in learning more about what's going on in the marketplace, learning more about sales and marketing that a lot of your counterparts in the industry are using to grow their business, and then most importantly, hearing very specifically from 4 our top producers on very specific approaches that they are using to grow their business and to see things through and end up with some good, solid end of year numbers, then I would say that the sales or the Life and Annuity Academy is the spot for you. Now, I know looking at our list of attendees, and I know we've got a long list of attendees today, so I know a lot of you have already attended, and that's great. And if it's been more than a couple of years and you want to come back, certainly might be able to accommodate that. But if you have been in the last year or two, it makes it really hard for us to get new folks in. So what I'd like to do is, if you've been in the last couple of years, if you would put no on that and then give me a call if you want to come back, and certainly be willing to chat with you about that. For those of you that have never attended, you may or may not know, but this has become probably one of the best agent events in the industry. And the reason for that is we do talk about some product, and there are some kind of administrative things that come up, that things that we all have to deal with every day. But what we've really tried to concentrate on here is the sales and marketing part of your business. And when you combine that with the fact that we're going to pay your way there and take care of your expenses while you're there, it's really one of the best opportunities right now in the industry. We're going to do 3 more of these throughout the year. We've got one scheduled in May. We've got one, I think, in August, and one in late October. And what I'd like you to do is, if you have interest in joining us for any one of those 3 through the course of the year, give us a call and let me chat with you, or just hit yes on that poll. We'll send you out a registration link and also a sample agenda, so you can kind of see what the day-to-day is. Just a quick overview of the days we bring in. Usually on a Wednesday, we'll have dinner that night, start talking about a few things that evening, go all the next day, have dinner, and then get up the next morning, which would be Friday, go for about half a day, a little bit more, and get you out the door. So a little bit of an extended event than maybe what you're used to. It's going to take you out of the office for 3 days, but at the end of it, they're almost to a man or lady, as they walk out, they say, "Boy, that's a lot of information, more than I expected to gather." Great information. It is a nice way to jumpstart your thinking about, hey, what do I need to do to get my business going? So we'd love to have you join you at the Academy. And I see I must have talked too long, because all but just a couple of you have voted, which I appreciate very much. For those of you that have not voted, I see that there's a couple of you actually that are unable to vote because you're just listening in. If you have interest, shoot me an email at steve@iamzinc.com. I will go ahead and send you out that registration link and the sample agenda. Again, that's Steve, STEVE, at IAMSINC.com. For those of you that have voted yes on that, you'll be receiving shortly a email from us that has the agenda information and also a registration link. When you send that registration form back, you're not saying, hey, I want to come to the one in May or August or October. What you're letting us know is that you'd like to be on the invite list, and then as we invite folks in, then you'll get an email, or you get a contact from somebody here in the office to see if the timing works. Again, we take care of your travel, meals, and hotel stay. So the expense to you, of course, is just being out of your office for that time frame. So again, thank you all for being so quick to vote on that. I'm going to go ahead and close that poll out so that we can move on. There we go. So the IAMS Wealth Management, new part of our business. It's an RIA. We didn't put that in place because of the DOL, but it's been a nice feature to know that we're going to have that there for folks that want or need that financial institution to sign off for DOL purposes, if that does indeed come about. We'll talk more about that in recent developments here shortly. But if you are currently 65 and you may be looking for maybe a lower fee environment or a lower cost of doing business environment, or one that better matches up with your skill set, our IAMS Wealth Management really is designed and works very well for folks that are maybe one of the main parts of their business has been that fixed indexed annuity marketplace. And so we know that a lot of the guys that are part of our wealth management have that as a little bit of a background, and we've kind of built it around that to make it as simple and easy to work with as possible, have some really conservative investment platforms to choose from, all the way out to the much more aggressive platforms as well, and done it in a way with technology and simplicity, and tried to keep the fees lower, so it becomes a really, I think, a very good opportunity. So if you have interest, if you are 65 and you have interest in looking, give us a call. Ask for Charles Hiring, and he'll be glad to spend a few minutes with you and go over things in great detail. If you are thinking about getting your 65 and need some assistance with that, also give us a call here. We could certainly help you with that as well. So number here, of course, 800-255-5055. That's an easy number to remember, and one that you're all used to. The number directly to IAMS Wealth Management is 888-255-7670. Either of those numbers will work to get you in touch with the team. A couple of programs that I want you to be familiar with, just because they kind of great benefits to folks that do business with us, and I want you to make sure that you're aware of them. Our referred producer program; those are currently where we send out the largest checks that IAMS is sending out. They're basically checks designed or in appreciation of referrals that have come to us. So you can see how the program works right there on the screen before you. When you refer a producer to us, we send you a check just for the referral. We send out the licensing paperwork and get him started on doing business with us, or her started on doing business with us. As they do business, we pay you an additional bonus for that referral. And as things sit right now, that goes on forever. So you will receive 20 basis points on their annuity business, as a for instance. We do not take that from your referee at all. That's simply our way of rewarding you or thanking you for that referral, and it goes on forever. So really nice program. We send those checks out quarterly. As I mentioned, they are currently about the largest checks I think that we send out. We're none that I appreciate more. And obviously we appreciate your referrals at every opportunity. Secondly, our marketing reimbursement program, a really straightforward program. When you do business with us, we put money in your marketing reimbursement account. When you do business and use whether it's via mailings or whether you need a new computer or whether anything that you need to help grow your business and help increase your marketing footprint, you can send us in those receipts, and we'll reimburse you dollar for dollar on your marketing costs. So great way to grow your business. Again, some checks that we just love to send out. So Dave, are you aboard with us yet this morning?
I am.
Well, welcome aboard. I tried to zip through those because I know we've got a lot of developments here, and I know this is an important subject. So
Right.
Give you all a little background. Dave is the president of Lazarus Coaching. He's been working with us on the coaching side for, probably 10 or 11 years now. Time flies by awfully quick. And helping our producers on all kinds of levels there, with Social Security seminars, business planning and building, 401k seminars as well. Dave is also securities licensed, has an OSJ, and so he has agreed to take some time here to work with our guys that may be looking at becoming licensed or doing business in the post-DOL environment and how that works. So we're going to spend a little time here with Dave this morning. I encourage you, as you have any questions, to go ahead and type them in and hit send, and we'll get them asked and answered as quickly as possible. I have a couple polls that come up along the way here as well. Answer those quickly if you can as well. So with that, Dave, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you very much, everybody, for being on the line. This is a hot topic. We got a lot of folks with this from all over the U.S., and I appreciate you spending the next 30, 35, 40 minutes. DOL, and you're probably sick and tired of hearing about the Department of Labor fiduciary law, but there's so many zigs and zags right now, and actually they just put it into a 60-day holding period. They had a comment period where 193,000 people and firms commented on DOL, some positive, some for it, some negative against it. But let's just kind of walk through what I want to do today. My name is Dave Pimper, and I'm a registered rep, and I started in the financial arena in 1981. So 30 plus years. My association with IAMS, the FMO, Field Marketing Organization, which Steve is co-owner of, is that I transact all my insurance business, which basically is fixed indexed annuities, a little bit of single premium life, but really fixed index that I use as a bond replacement. and I do about 75% of my businesses from the security side, and about 25 to 30% is from the fixed indexed and fixed side. So I can relate to both. I coach through my company Lazarus Coaching. I used to coach independent reps for years and years in the independent arena with broker dealers, and now I'm really proprietary to IAMS, which is the insurance rep, and about 25% of those are a security license with 6 or 7 or 65 or 66. So what happens in the rest are just solely insurance. So I know we've got a grab bag of people today and producers that are on the webinar with us, and I'm going to go in, and this is information. I must go. Part of this is factual, then part of it's not that it isn't factual, but it certainly is my opinion. Okay, so it's subjective in matter. It's opinion based, and I think that it's interesting not to hear from a lawyer or from an industry legal expert, but I'm talking on your level because I'm a producer exactly like you are. Okay, now if you have any questions, just type those in, and Steve will bring those up, and we can certainly answer those along the way. And there'll be a couple polls too. If you'd like more information from myself on the subject we're talking about, then you can just mark yes, and Steve will bring those up from time to time. So it's kind of funny because it says here, I'm starting to think it's now my eyes that are the problem. Well, this Department of Labor, the fiduciary rule. So they're talking about retirement plans. They're talking about ERISA and IRA plans. Okay, anything to do with giving advice. With financial advice, you're looking at viewed as you're going to be in a situation where it's not just suitability, okay, but you've got to look and have disclosure that's certainly heightened from the ruling. And what happens is that this wasn't the case before, okay? Because when you're looking at suitability, that certainly differs than fiduciary standard, okay? Now, any kind of fee-based account with your 65 or 66 license, that has always been, or for years and years, has been under the fiduciary ruling. But that is very well about to change, okay? Now, I love this. If Hillary Clinton would have got in as president, we wouldn't be having this discussion right now, because on April the 10th, which was yesterday, matter of fact, then this rule is in effect right now, but it would have been basically implemented then and fully implemented on January 1 of 2018. Well, Trump, with kind of his anti-regulation stand, certainly has put a monkey wrench into that, okay? Now, let's talk a little bit about this. The Department of Labor, and they're the ones that have really kind of the control over retirement plans, and they don't over IRAs. I mean, the IRS does, believe it or not, over individual retirement accounts, but they did kind of an end around and grabbed all of that IRA money, also threw it in here. But it's supposed to go in effect yesterday, and it didn't. It got a 60-day reprieve, and in that 60 days, which will go out to June the 9th of this year, and a lot of people, they originally requested, the opponents of this, they wanted a 2-year delay, and then it was talked about a 180-day delay, and then 90. And they actually went 60. And to tell you the truth, because the Department of Labor, when Pudger did not get in, and now Alexander Acosta has not filled that Department of Labor role yet. He has not been Senate approved. What happens is there's a lack of leadership, in particular political leadership with the Department of Labor, and that is going to hurt trying to overturn this rule. Now, what happens is that this is all just for qualified or retirement money. It has nothing to do with non-qualified. The exemption, the previous exemption of 8424, That's where fixed indexed annuities thought they were going to be protected, that it would not be treated like a security, or have to go in and have a best interest contract exemption write-off. And that's what Steve was talking about earlier. With their new RIA, with IAM's Wealth Management, they're able, not as an FMO, but they're able to go in and to be a financial institution from their RIA status. Also banks, also broker-dealers, also insurance companies are in that mix. And some very limited of the largest financial management organizations, FMOs, like IAM's, just the 4, 5, 6 largest. They have to have $1.5 billion or over of sales and have a reserve, and they've got to jump through hoops to do that, will be available for a best, for a financial institution. Okay, so there's a lot to the Department of Labor rule, and the interesting thing is that you got to look at this and just ask yourself, so what does this mean to me as an independent producer or independent insurance producer? Well, what happens is, first of all, the April 10th got a reprieve. That's now to June the 9th. But on June the 9th, I will just tell you that if the rule goes through as written, I mean, the rule's in effect now, it just hasn't been implemented, or they could totally rescind it. That would really be tough. I mean, it's a long process. So they'll probably, and I don't think it'll go through just as written. With 193,000 comments, I think there will be a revision in the rule. And first of all, I think they are going to kick the can down the road a little bit longer. It's not going to be really implemented on 1/1 of 2018 like it was going to before. It'll probably be another 6 months or even a year, I think, before it'll be implemented. I think what happened, the private right of action, meaning the DOL is not the one that's going to go in and enforce this ruling. Isn't that amazing? They make the rules, but they're not going to enforce the ruling. It's up to the courts or up to class action lawsuits or lawsuits on the outside. I mean, plaintiff lawyers are licking their chops and defending lawyers, and I mean, know that it's going to be busy. So what happens is that I hope that it will go back to a arbitration or a heightened arbitration somehow, but keep it out of the court systems. I mean, I'll tell you right now, the people who win normally in the court system, it isn't so much the client, it's the lawyer. I mean, they're going to get paid whether they win or not, and a lot can happen in a private arbitration or private mediation. So that's what I think, that will also be changed. I do believe that the best interest contract exemption, how it is right now, will get loosened some. There's going to be some kind of heightened supervision, heightened suitability more than what's available now. But I don't think it needs to go at the level. And I'll tell you, the sad thing about this is 99 point something of the registered reps and the people in our industry, working with retirement plans or regular money, we're honest, we're fair, we have the best interest of that contract in mind. I mean, you cannot stay in business if you're not doing the right thing for your client. It's the less than 1% that's kind of, I think, that's ruined it for all. Am I against this ruling and the principle of it? No, I'm not. It does help the client. You can kind of see what's happened right now with the industry. You can see that there's been no doubt expense compression for the client, which is good, less expenses. You can see that surrender charges you're probably not going to see over requalified money. Most insurance companies will probably have at least probably a 10-10, no more than 10 years of surrender charges, no more than 10% commission in the first year. You're seeing more of that. So that's good. So the 14-year products, the 17-year products, sometimes, you look at that, that's a long time to tie your money up. And so I think it has helped the client. Now, has there been commission compression for us? Yeah, there has. But I'll tell you, back when I started the business in '81, in the securities business, in the financial arena, insurance, you know what? Think of the commissions back then. I mean, mutual funds. Everyone was with no break points up to a certain amount was 8.5%. Do you find one now charging 8.5%? They could legally, but they don't. They don't, because I would say that around 5 to 5.75 is the average for a mutual fund with no break point. And so what happens is, you know, with if you take a look at some of the investments that we're showing, I mean, we may have gone down from 7% to 6% for commissions, or even 6 to 5.5. But I will tell you right now that the people that are paying more for this are the manufacturers. It's tighter for them. It's the broker dealers, field marketing organizations, the override that they get paid to help service and market the business. They've been cut much more than what the rep has. So they talk about the little guy is going to get just shunned from this, and nobody wants to work with the little guy. I just saw that it was either Morgan Stanley or Merrill Lynch came on out, and they said they're going to do a robo for $25,000 or more, which is extremely small for that kind of firm, are going to be able to service that on a fee-based standpoint. So even though that is the talk and that is the heat coming out, I do think the smaller investor will still have a home to go in and to work with those monies. If you got any questions at all, certainly give me a call, or just mark yes, and then I will go in and answer that. So here's what happens: 193,000 comments and petition letters were filed. Bill could get killed, probably won't. Probably will get amended. It's going to get probably kicked down the road a little bit. But we know things have changed. Things have changed in the industry, okay? And it's very important to go in and to know that that if you think that there isn't going to be any change, you're wrong. Now, big firms, and this was as of about a month and a half or 2 months ago, but big firms are still implementing changes. And this comes right from the Wall Street Journal and Investment News from 2/7 of 17 and 8/24 of 16. But, you know, Merrill Lynch, now they've actually just lately backed off a little bit and said there could be some commission with retirement, but they're moving ahead with a lot of what they said they would do months ago. Wells Fargo, same way. Edward Jones, yeah. I mean, they were one of the very, very first ones that came in and talked about, you know, no longer mutual funds or ETFs and commission-based. LPL Financial, they're going in and looking at a level load, kind of a clean share with maybe a mutual fund share with 2.5% with a trail to the rep. But it's a big difference from 5 or 5.75. But it doesn't care if it's a short-term bond fund or if it's an aggressive growth stock fund. It's going to be straight across. And I heard a great comment. I mean, having a level load, I mean, there are better funds and worse funds. And what happens is one of the reps, and I was reading this this weekend, but it was in one of the industry publications, and said that'd be like going to a person who has a 5-star hotel, and then he has a rent by the hour, you know, no name motel, and charging exactly the same. Well, you know what? There are better managers. There are managers with better track records. There are managers that the company service better. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different things. There are managers that they're tactical managers, and their goal is not to be on the full upside of the market, but to have some of lesser losses on the downside. Well, what is that worth? Is it worth the same for everything? You know, it's so what it really happens if it's a level load. Really, we're trading. It isn't, the competition doesn't drive of what commissions and payouts are. It's really kind of a socialistic attitude. Everybody is the same, no matter if they're good or if they're bad. Yeah. So, you know, is that the right thing? I don't know. But that's where LPL is heading towards. Or the last time that I heard, Raymond James, you know they're going to offer a choice. J.P. Morgan are following through with some early implementation. So I talked about the financial institutions, yeah, and banks, insurance companies, broker dealers, RIAs, and then certain FMOs. Some of the really, there's only about 5 or 6 that are 1.5 billion in sales or more. Now people get kind of mixed up on licenses sometimes, but what happens here is that the security license are the 6 and the 7, and the 63. Those are not fee-based license, but they're security commissioned license. Okay? 6 are variable products. You can't show single stocks or single bonds. Can't show non-traded REITs options. You can't do that with the 6. You can show mutual funds. You can show variable annuities. You can show some unit investment trusts, some types of unit investment trusts. You can give any kind of investment advice that you want from a statement. That's what a Series 6 does, kind of a limited securities license. The 63 is a state law, blue sky law, they call it. And you need that with your 6 or with your 7. Now, 7 is all of the above, the variable, but it's a full securities license. So there's options and margins and non-traded REITs and single stocks, single bonds. It has the entirety, municipal bonds, in the entirety of the securities arena. Okay. Now, the fee-based licenses is the 65. Investment advisory representative. Remember, the investment advisory representative is the producer. The registered investment advisor is the advisory firm. Just like with IAM's Wealth Management, that is the registered investment advisor. When Dave Pimper goes through and does business through IAM's Wealth Management, I have a 65 license, and I am an investment advisory representative. Okay? Now, you're able to show fees. Now, with that fees, you can give investment advice. You just can't charge a commission. You have to charge a fee on assets under management, or it could be an hourly fee. Those are the two most common. You could go in and just say, I want to bill out at $150 or $200 per hour and not charge any commission. But most people, it's assets under management, and normally the advisor side of that fee is normally 1% is pretty much an industry standard. Now there might be a platform fee, there could be internal fund fees, there could be trading fees, but what happens is there could be a wrap fee. But for the for the industry, there's really two sets. There's a platform that you're working through for your RIA, and then there's what you charge, and then you get that percentage minus whatever haircut that you're getting from the broker dealer, from the RIA firm. Okay, what you've negotiated on that. So common securities license, yeah. Individual is 6 and 7, 63 is a state, and the fee base is 65 and 66. With 6s and 7s, you cannot do fee-based business, advisory business. Can't charge hourly. That's a commission. 65 and 66, you absolutely can. I think we got a poll coming up here one of those days, but we'll talk one more thing. Talk a little bit about fixed index annuities for all the insurance. And I know, you know what, it's interesting because more broker dealers 5-6 years ago used to say, oh, fixed indexed annuities, and here's the litany of things that are trouble with. Let me first say this. It is one of the least litigated products in the marketplace, fixed and fixed index. And the reason is because as long as you hold to the maturity of the surrender charges, you contractually cannot lose money. You contractually have to make money, at least on par of give or take of what a CD rate is right now on the very worst scenario. But fixed indexed, of course, have a contractual guaranteed principal insured by the highly rated insurance company you're working with. And then there's a lot of different ways, but normally a simple way, and I use it the majority of the time, is just a 1-year point-to-point cap. I mean, you see where the S&P is when you start it. So if it happens to be the 11th of April, you go through the 10th of April of 2018. Did the stock market go, for the S&P 500, go up or down? If it went up, you're going to make up to a certain cap. Right now, the cap's depending on the amount of money. Sometimes there's high level, low bands at 100,000 or more is a high band. Yeah, but anywhere from 4 3/4 to we've seen from 6% on the cap. Yeah. So what happens is we thought in the insurance industry, we thought the fixed index was going to go in and get an 8424 exemption from the best interest contract exemption. That's what they said. That's what the DOL said just days before they came out with their report. You know what? It got thrown in there just like a security. It's treated, even though it's not a security, for the Department of Labor, it's treated for disclosure just like a security. And that's something else that could be rescinded, but I think it's going to be tough. You know, the industry, securities industry, tried to grab it back on 151A 6-7 years ago. That failed. This was an end around by the Department of Labor, basically on the last day before they came out with the ruling. But I think this time it's going to be pretty tough. Now, could it? Yeah. Should it? Maybe. Yeah. I don't think it probably should be in with securities. But what happens is, if it was just the S&P 500, but they've come up with all kind of risk controls and risk control accounts, and they're hard to. Not that they're bad, but they're hard to follow, and they can't follow it very easily, and it makes it complicated. The more complicated a product is, the better chance probably that you'll get this FINRA or SEC DOL involved in regulating that. Okay. So with fixed indexed, it will need a BICE, a best interest contract exemption. It will be signed off by the client and by the rep and by the financial institution. Basically treated like a security now. You're looking that the Department of Labor, FINRA, SEC, they would really like the broker dealer to be the distributor. They're the ones. Most FMOs, until maybe now with DOL, or if they have an RIA, they haven't got much compliance because they didn't need that. They weren't in the securities business. But all of a sudden, broker-dealers have always had a compliance department, as everyone in the business knows, of getting compliance approval from your broker-dealer. Fixed indexed annuities. Now, this has been why there's a lot of movement in the industry for insurance kind of brokers, is that a lot of broker dealers are now forcing you to run it through the grid. The beautiful thing with the broker dealer that I have is called Calton, C-A-L-T-O-N, down in Tampa, Florida, is that we do run our OSJ through the grid with fixed index annuities, but the nice thing is it's not through the securities grid. It's a much higher grid where the haircut that you give is extremely small, can be as low as 3 percentage points. So what happens here is, depending on your production, so what happens is finding a broker dealer who has flexibility, not just with fixed index product, but flexibility with compliance and advertising, flexibility of how the ruling of Department of Labor, what they're making you do. We're independent. We're not captive. We don't want to work with a company that treats us as we're captive, because that's really where almost all of us came from in the brokerage business, because starting captive is normally where you start. We want to be independent, but we need a compliance department that's extremely good. And they need to be, the old joke was always they were called the anti-business department, but you want to find a broker dealer whose compliance department works with you. Maybe not always approves everything, but works with you to find a solution to better serve our clients. Okay, so running it through the grid at a securities grid, yeah, it's going to be tough. And what's interesting is the payouts. There's a really good article, and if we talk, I can surely shoot this out to you from the Industry Magazine, but it talked about the actual payout. What is the real payout of a broker-dealer? And Calton, my broker-dealer, is very interesting because they are as transparent as any broker-dealer I've ever been. I was on the board for 7 years, advisory board, with a large national firm. At that time, it had over 3,000 agents. And I was on the board for 7 years, really got to see the inner workings of a broker-dealer. And that firm, this is back 15 years ago or 18 years ago, charged $300 per month per year for just an affiliation fee. Yeah. And then you got to look and see what other kind of cost and expenses, how much your E&O, how much your email. Maybe you have to use an aggregation program, Allbridge, and they'll charge another $110. It gets to be extremely important. Calton is much more like a kind of a smorgasbord. You can pick what you want. The one thing you can is you have to have E&O through their E&O, through Calton's E&O, so they know it's covered. They know that all past acts are covered, no matter what broker dealers you've been with in the past. And but what happens other than that, and then just the email, which of course has to be monitored and everything archived. Really, everything from there is pretty we're a la carte. And so, we have $268 a month, $3,216 a year. Not a penny more, not a penny less. But it's also, if you're a stock, it's the cost of the trade, and our costs are some of the lowest in the industry. Okay, so it's not just the grid, but it's what other kind of fees and charges and expenses is your broker dealer nicking you and diming you. Also, what happens is, and we'll cover this here in a little bit, but myself being the OSJ, does your OSJ right now, do they really help you? I mean, do they bring value to that relationship, or are they just looking at it from a compliance standpoint? Remember I talked about registered investment advisor? That's the firm. Investment advisor rep, that is the representative. Now, there are some prerequisites of aligning with a registered investment advisory firm, but sometimes you can get grandfathered in. I just had one of my OSJs out in California, and it was for how long he's been in the business, and then some of the tests that he's passed. It says there's CFP, CFA, CHFC are the most common ones. CIC is beginning to be common now. The state may go in, and since you passed those tests and took that testing, that you're automatically can apply to be an advisor, where investment advisor rep. So what happens here is that you kind of have to ask, is particular, with the state that you're in. Now, I talked about the broker-dealer and the FMO relationship. Flexibility, I think, is key. We had the original owner of Calton, also our VP of Sales and Marketing, and he's been president of a major Midwestern broker-dealer. They came up, talked with the two owners of IAMS, the FMO, Steve Murray, who's on our webinar, and then also Charles Hiring, the original owner, and they kind of pounded out an agreement. And there's a lot of respect between the FMO and the broker-dealer. It's flexible. So if you're tired of kind of having the fixed indexed annuity looking at it like a second-class citizen, don't be if you're working with Calton and your FMO as IAMS. Steve, are you still there? Or are you probably, maybe he's out doing some things, but hopefully he'll come up with a couple fairly
I'm here,
soon.
Dave. Yep.
Okay, we might want to throw a poll up here pretty soon, Steve, on those first polls within maybe the next slide. But I was just kind of talking here about broker-dealers and field marketing organizations. And I'll tell you something else. This is me personally. There are some big FMOs that they'll have the broker-dealer is under one house, the registered investment advisory is under one house, all the insurance products are under one house, the fixed, the financial institution is them. So it's all under one house. And I'll tell you what, to me, what happens is that you really have no checks and balances that are kind of in your business. That would concern me a little bit, to have all my eggs in one basket. What's nice here is you've got a broker-dealer with Calton, which we'll talk about in a second, that has 30 years of experience, privately owned, never owned by an insurance company. Not that that's bad. It's just that there's not the bureaucracy of the big boys. 350 total reps with Calton. And they're growing. They're growing. You got IAMS, 30 years in the business, and they provide all of the distribution of insurance products and do a lot of fixed indexed annuity business. Now, this question here, do you have questions about the financial licenses you need or you have or you would like to get? Yeah, just mark yes if you want to talk to me, mark no if you don't. But if you do mark yes, then Craig or Amy will give you a call. Please take the call. I know you're busy, and we're certainly busy lining up a lot of appointments to talk with producers, but if you got some questions about your licenses, what you need, and if anybody ever tells you to show fixed indexed annuities, if you're not securities licensed to show fixed indexed annuities, you have to have a security license. They're wrong. You don't. You do not. But someone has to sign off on that business as a financial institution. That is different than it was before, and that probably will go through with the new ruling on the Department of Labor fiduciary law. So we'll keep this up a little bit. I'm going to just talk one more quick thing, is that if you've got a broker-dealer right now, and that broker-dealer is either kind of nickel and diming you, or the OSJ that you run through really is not bringing value of coaching or training, or we've got two people. Amy is another full-time now administrator, and she's have industry experience that goes back also 30 years. She was a broker, but she's one of my administrators now, and Amy really is the go-to person in our office for any kind of OSJ questions, for forms, for compliance. I mean, you can always call me, but I'm really the front guy. I mean, mine is sales idea, marketing, and but Amy's very, very good. Craig sometimes gets involved. He's another full-time. He really runs my retail shop and my coaching end. And then down at Calton, it isn't a group of people, but it's just really one person is a transition team. Lori is, that does a very, very good job. So this is really a hands-on, person-friendly transition, okay? Here's one more quick question. Would you like more insight on the DOL? Maybe how it'll affect your business? Yeah, the Department of Labor law, it's a moving target. It's zigging, it's zagging. But I'll tell you what, it's coming to an end here basically on June the 9th. I don't think there's going to be an extension from there. I think they'll rule, and then I think that rule will go in effect. Now, would a lot of people in the industry like that rule to go away? Yeah, could it? Could. I don't think it will, though. I mean, my personal opinion, I don't think it will. I think it's going to be a revision to the rule. There's going to be some lightening up on some areas of compliance and regulation, but I just can't see how I truly just can't see how the spirit of that law isn't in the best interest of the client, and also how so many firms have spent huge money. I just heard that Ameriprise spent just millions and millions and millions, not counting Morgan Stanley, Merrill Lynch, LPL. A lot of money have been spent of updating for Department of Labor rulings. So I don't think that a lot of those firms, their business is going to change whether this goes through or not. And I think that's probably another indication that it probably is, a lot of this is going to go through as written. So let's go ahead. If you would like to mark yes here, then Craig or Amy will call you and set up a time with me for 25, 30 minutes, and we can certainly talk more about DOL, talk about how it may affect your business. And is it going to be business as normal? No, not if you're in securities, not if you're with fixed index. But is the business going to be bad for us? Absolutely not. There's just some hoops we've got to jump through, and we'll know a lot more here within a couple months.
And I can see,
Okay.
Dave, that there are a lot of folks that do need some clarification on, how the DOL is going to affect business. So that, please, if you do want more information on that, or if you'd like us to kind of keep you, especially in the loop on that, go ahead and mark yes on that poll, and we will make sure that we do that. I see that most of you are marking yes. I'm going to close that poll out in just a second. Dave, do you have anything else you need to talk about on this particular slide?
Nope, that's fine, because no, I'm fine. We'll just go to the next slide.
Okay.
That'll be good. We have we got a big cross section. We've got people that are from the securities business. We got people that are from insurance, and I know some of those. We also have some people that are insurance, but are a broker from the insurance side. They're securities license. So I'm gonna go through just real quick, just why Calton. That's my broker dealer. That's who I'm the OSJ for. We started I was an OSJ for years and years and years, and then I've been kind of a lone ranger for the last 15, 18 years. But back starting on January 1, I started the OSJ again. And we have 6 people right now, with 2 more coming on board here in the next month's time period. So that'll be 8 since January 1. So it's certainly going to be a fairly large and hopefully a powerful OSJ with Calton. But Calton's a full-service broker-dealer. It's privately owned, so it's not owned by an insurance company or venture capital group. It's privately owned by people from the industry. I mean, Randy Siccotti was a big wig with Voya, president, CEO of Voya. Paul Richardson is one of the COO. He is, of course, been president of BD's. We've got our Chris Radford, head of sales and marketing, was president of an independent BD in the Midwest. Ramu Singh heads up advisory, was with Ratty Financial Advisory out of San Diego, $2 billion plus a firm that he was president of before he started, and then bought part of Calton. Dwayne Calton, the original owner, is still day to day. Started 30 years ago. So there's just a lot of, and all those guys were brokers or in the brokerage business or in the financial arena. Very, very important. We have two grids. We have a grid for securities, which is competitive, very competitive in the industry. We got a grid for fixed indexed annuities and insurance business. It's, again, higher than the securities grid, very, very competitive. We got a good BD FMO alliance, through IAMS. I mean, they're on the same page. Monthly costs are industry low, very, very transparent, no affiliation fees, no low production cost or quotas. That doesn't mean that if you're doing very little business for year after year after year, we'd have to look at that, but they aren't going to just have 1 year and they kick you out. And that's what some firms do. 1 year and they lower it's done year to year to year. We just don't do it that way. Our clearing services through Hilltop Securities, the second largest clearing firm for Pershing, and then NFS also we have a clearing arrangement with. It's friendly, I'll never forget when I started working at Hilltop down in Dallas, and I was working at Pershing before, and I remember the gal down at Hilltop, back 12, 13 years ago when I got on board with Calton from this large BD, the clearing firm gal called me Hun. I couldn't believe it, because you just don't hear that from up in New York. They call you other things up there. But very friendly, very flexible. Yeah, it's just a good feeling working with a firm that they know you personally. IAMS, who you heard from earlier, independent, about the same size. Calton and IAMS are about the same size. They both have between 25 and 30 employees. They've been in business both around 30 years. The amount of business is similar between the two. And I had a lawyer one time years ago said you should try to go in partnership with someone who's not a lot bigger or not a lot smaller, not a lot wealthier or not a lot less wealthier. This is very similar. Huge product inventory on insurance products, especially fixed indexed and life products. A lot of lead and marketing programs. Broker dealers don't have that much of that. They have a lead in marketing programs. People have been there for years and years and years. I mean, 20 plus years. Very producer focused, friendly and flexible, and I had that from IAMS also. And then myself, I've been in business since '81. Pretty much you see what you get. I like seminars and marketing a lot. I've done over 440 public seminars since the mid '80s. But I'm trying to add value. So all of my coaching and my seminars, which I charge for, once you're on board with me, all of that is available at no cost to the people who are part of my OSJ. I have expertise in Social Security. I do a lot of Social Security workshops. In fact, I got 3 coming up here in the next month and a half. 401k IRA rollovers. I got a great workshop that I put together with the help of IAMS. It's FINRA reviewed. Just got in about 400,000 about 2 weeks ago from the last workshop that came from 401k IRA rollovers. And I'm trying to add value, not just be supervisory and help you with compliance, which of course I will do, but really to add value to make you a better producer and a bigger producer if that's where you want to go. I'm kind of like a board of directors. Maybe you're one board on a small independent shop. Technology, you'll see from Department of Labor, we've had Redtail for 6-7 years. That's our CRM, customer relationship management software. We're very good at Redtail. Money Guide Pro is a financial planning software we have. Riskalyze I use quite a bit, and that's a risk assessment software. There's other ones that are out there, and IAMS has some also. But just know that we try to stay on the cutting edge of technology. So you may have questions. About the RIA. If you're working through us, you've got your choice of going through IAMS or going through Calton, the broker dealer. Fiduciary versus suitability. It's a fine line, but there is a difference in, commission versus fee with your license. Yeah, those are the kind of questions that might come on up. So if you're unhappy with your BD, why would you be unhappy? Well, maybe they're forcing fixed index through the BD securities grid and they didn't before. Yeah, that might make you look. High monthly fees or higher monthly fees than a lot of people have. Is the current OSJ, is it bringing value to it? Because I know that we will and we do. Concerned about the DOL rule going forward. Yeah, just want a second opinion on your BD, on your FMO, on your licenses. Just want to talk to someone who's been in the industry for years, which I have since 1981. Yeah, then you probably need to sign up. I always have this at the end. I'll see if Steve has anything, and maybe we have one last sign up or any of the questions. But if this procrastination is my sin, it brings me constant sorrow. I really shouldn't practice it. Perhaps I'll stop. You know what? Tomorrow never comes. I have a man cave downstairs, and I have a big sign that says "Free beer tomorrow." I'm pretty safe there, aren't we? Don't procrastinate. You know what? If you heard something today that you thought you liked, or something today that you might be able to help you, yeah, go in and mark yes. Steve, do we have one more? Yeah, I thought we did. Yeah. So if you have a potential change, with your BD, or a potential change with your FMO, yeah, just mark down yes. Broker dealers are not the same. It's like perfume. You know what? Some perfume has a very good, aroma to your nose, and sometimes it does not. You know if your BD is treating you good. If the BD is starting to squeeze you and acting more like it's captive and not independent, we should talk, because there certainly are still good independent firms that let you be independent. Calton is one of those. They got a very, very good compliance department. And why I say it's very good, because they don't just tell you no. They tell you know what? Here's the reason that this could get under review by FIN or SEC. Here's a better thing to say, or let's work out something that's better. You know what? My compliance, I do a lot of it being in the seminar and marketing business also, with my financial service practice. But majority of the time, the compliance comes back in the same day. One day later, usually at the most. Well, how many times can you say that with a big broker dealer? You can't, because it just gets caught up in that gummed up chain ring of the bike. Yeah, hard to pedal. So if you think about a BD change, mark yes on that, or just you might want to throw at me and give you some ideas of what we could do versus where you're at right now. And you can compare like a Franklin T, liabilities on one side and assets on the other. Certainly mark yes. And we'll talk for 15, 20 minutes what it takes to go in and to give you some ideas. But you've got options in this business. Is it fun to change BDs? No, it's not. But you know what? Hopefully this will be the only BD change you'll make, and you're going to be with a BD that really is kind of family friendly, treats fixed indexed annuities with respect, and certainly has a working relationship with the FMO. If one of those three things is important to you, then I'd love to talk to you. And I'll let you kind of take it from there, Steve.
Thanks, Dave. Good stuff as always. A particularly complicated subject, mostly complicated because there just aren't a lot of right answers right now. There's a lot of speculation. There's some rumor. There's some opinion, which is kind of what we're expressing here today. Is there's still much to learn. As things become more clear, or at least in our mind, if we see some clarity coming about that we think we can help you along with some thoughts or ideas or things that we need to make sure get done, we'll certainly get those communicated out to you. As regard to broker dealers, probably over the last, 2-3 months, I have seen a waterfall of broker dealers requiring now that indexed annuities go through the grid. As you all may remember sometime back when 151A was kind of looming out there, some broker dealers at that time took that opportunity to run indexed annuities through the grid, but that was probably 30 to 40%. I would say by the end of this year, probably 85 to 90% of broker dealers will likely require indexed annuities to go through the grid. So if your broker-dealer has been in touch with you and said, hey, this is a change we're getting ready to make, we certainly would like the opportunity to speak with you about that and see if we have a selling agreement. We've got multiple selling agreements with broker-dealers, and we may be able to accommodate yours. Just without this sounding wrong or aggressive, because I don't mean to, but if your broker dealer is asking you to make changes that you're not comfortable with, or you maybe don't know that that's kind of the industry norm, certainly give us a call. We'll be glad to tell you from our perspective what we're seeing in the broker-dealer market in an objective way, and maybe make you feel better about what your broker-dealer is requiring, or maybe make you feel worse. We still want our independence. We want to be able to do the things that we want to do, and so some of that is just finding the right fit. And it may be that, come January, when implementation at this point anyway, is required, maybe broker dealers say, hey, if we're going to be the financial institution, if we're going to have a responsibility, obviously we're going to have that go through the grid. That number may be 100%. If that's the case, more and more it's going to be really important to you to have a good relationship, especially if fixed indexed annuities is a big part of your business. It's going to be more and more important to have a good relationship with the broker dealer that you're working with, and feel comfortable that they have your best interests at heart, and feel comfortable that they have flexibility, and feel comfortable that they're people that you can talk to when you need to. That's why we chose to work with Calton on kind of a preferred basis, is because that's, their culture is pretty parallel to IAM's. The guy that started it, still making the decisions day to day. 30 years in the business, still very producer oriented, haven't yet gotten the corporate culture that makes them feel entitled to the business of the folks that work with them. That's kind of the way that we are here at IAMS. We want to earn it every day. Calton seems to be in the position where they want to earn the business of their guys every day, which is unusual in that marketplace, in the BD marketplace. So that's why we decided to make the relationship that we did with Calton. The fact that Dave is an OSJ with them and can certainly be a great conduit for you to, I think, join one of the best broker dealers in the country and have one of the best OSJs in the country, because he is very attentive and very sales and marketing oriented with his group. And that, I know for a lot of folks, they haven't normally gotten that from their OSJ. Their OSJ is more of a kind of a business overseer, more of a business stopper than a business starter. I think if you want a different kind of a feel from an OSJ, I think you'd find Dave would be a great fit for you. So I don't want to go on and on about that, but if you're looking for something there, certainly give us a call or give Dave a call or answer yes to that poll, and at least explore that opportunity. I know we've gone a little bit over today, and I do apologize for that. This tends to be one that can run over because it is a complicated subject, but I think Dave done a great job in really unsettled times, given the fact that it's just in the last week that we've seen some of those changes, some of those delay announcements being made. So you've done a really great job in trying to keep everybody as up to speed as possible on that. So I appreciate that. You all out there, I'm going to close this poll down. If you have any questions, anything that you want to talk about, give us a call here at the office at 800-255-5055. We'll be glad to go over it with you, answer any questions that you have. If you want information on the IAMS Wealth Management, we'd love to talk with you about that. I think I gave you our Charles's direct number. You can call us here at 800-255-5055, and we'll put you right in touch with him. And if you just want to chat with Dave, certainly you've hit yes on a poll or two probably, and he'll be contacting you shortly. But if you didn't hit yes on a poll and you want to get in touch with Dave, give us a call here, and we'll be glad to put you in touch with him as well. With that, I'm going to close out today's webinar. Dave, unless you have anything that you want to add.
Nope, very good. Good job, Steve. I'm looking forward to talking to a lot of people and hopefully give you some good insight.
Good. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us today. Have a great finish to your sales week. We appreciate you joining us, and look forward to answering any questions that you have. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.